Aloha and welcome to another Cabrinha Tech Tip. My name's Phil and today I'll be walking you through the proper way to check and tune your bar. Keeping your bar tuned up is an important part of ensuring that your kite will feel and perform as well as it did the first day you bought it. But neglecting this one small but important process can result in difficult relaunches, backstalling, poor unhook performance, slow kite loops, and everything in between. So if you're ready, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is get in an open area where you have enough room to lay out your lines just like you'd be rigging it to your kite. We're just down here at Kite Beach. I'm going to run the lines out just like you would normally, and I'm going to tie the ends off to some kind of fixed object where you can really lean into. I'm going to use this piece of concrete, just the fence post. You can use the back of your truck or a tree or whatever, but you need something you can actually tie off to. So let's get started. All right, so now that we've laid out our lines, we have everything run out, we're going to go ahead and attach them all to the same fixed point here. To do that, we're going to go ahead and attach them just like we would to the kite. So when you're on your outside steering lines, go ahead and make the lark's head, feed it right through. Okay? When you get to your front flying lines, the proper way to attach that is through the hole. Where the line is spliced on itself, there's a hole here. So if you take a screwdriver, the one that came with your kite, that's used to service the sprint fittings, works perfect. You just open it up. It's already there, you just got to open it, just like that. And then we're just going to go ahead and feed the line right through. Pretty easy. Same thing with the other side, you're just going to repeat that for the right side. Just like that. And lastly, that last outside line. Lark's head. So this is just the way we normally attach it, okay? And once we're done there, we can go ahead and just tie a bowline or a figure eight and just knot it off, okay? Now again, if you don't have this line, your bypass leash will also work for this. Super easy. Just instead, you can take your leash and connect everything to the carabiner instead. Okay, this works in a pinch because you should always have your bypass leash. All you're going to do is just lark's head right around there. Same thing with the center lines. Just like that. Repeat it for the other side. And done. Okay, and then when we want to go ahead and check it, you can either just loop it directly to here and then pull on it, or just attach it to the end, right like that, and now we can just pull on it just fine, okay? Okay, so we're back here at the bar now, and we're just going to check for any line length differences. The first thing we want to do before we check is to make sure that the trim strap here is let out to full power, okay? And that's achieved by just pulling on the black ball a few times, letting everything out, and seeing that we are in fact at full power. The next step is to go ahead and put even pressure on the bar, pulling from the center, okay? And with the same amount of force that I'm pulling on the bar, I'm going to pull on the chicken loop, and it shouldn't come out at all. On this one, I can pull out, and there is this difference. The center lines are this much longer, okay? And so what that means is the kite is at full power in this position. Past that position, it starts choking off the kite, and the kite has a tendency to oversheet a little bit, and it may cause issues with backstalling, especially in lighter winds. So what we want to do is you can fix this one of two ways. The temporary and quick fix is to just, with this small of a difference, you can actually just go ahead and run the outside steering lines to the bottom knot on the kite's back bridle instead of the center knot. Otherwise, the permanent fix and the better solution is to go ahead and make the adjustment at the bar, and that way you can go ahead and run it to the middle knots and you'll never have to worry about it. The kite should perform like brand new right out of the bag. Okay. So at the top of the CAS is this adjustment piece. This adjustment link is a piece we've been running for a couple years now, and what it allows you to do is shorten or lengthen your center line distance based on how big or small you make this loop. Okay? The bigger the size of the loop, the shorter everything is getting. Okay? And the smaller this loop gets, it's actually paying out, and so it makes it longer. Generally, what you'll need 99% of the time is to make this loop bigger. As your center line assembly stretches, you'll need to make the center line shorter to match the distance on your, or the length on your outside lines. So what we're going to do is exactly that. The bar was off by about this much, so that's about how far I'm going to move this knot up, so that will be the size of the new loop. So to go ahead and adjust this, All I'm going to do is loosen this figure 8 knot that's in the line. If you haven't ever adjusted it before, it might be a little bit tight. Just a little bit of patience and maybe soaking it will help. Try and avoid using tools on it. If you absolutely have to, be very careful. You don't want to shred this line. So once I loosen that, if you need to, you can actually make a mark so you know where it was, and that'll help you judge the distance that you slide it up by. Use a Sharpie or something. What I'm going to do is just move it up to that spot, take up all the excess there, tighten her back down, and I don't have to go super tight at this point. I want to just double check first to make sure it's the right place. So what I'll do is I'll leave it just like that, and we'll check it back at the bar and see how that looks. The differences on the 2009 setup is you have this adjustment at the pigtail side but not at the center link side. So for those older style setups, if you only need to adjust here, the difference is the adjustment is actually on the outside line. You can make it's the same loop, you're just going to make it shorter or longer. So in this case, because it's the outside line, you want to make the loops shorter in order to pay this line out. So you want to make the outside lines longer to match the center line stretch that you've checked for. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'll just use this one as an example. The easiest way to do this, if it's a minor adjustment and you only need to go, half an inch or so, you can just move this knot down without taking anything off. But it actually is a little bit easier to work with if you just pry these two apart from each other. Okay? And again, if you haven't done this either ever or in a while, these things could be a little bit tight, so just have some patience and work them loose. You just pull them apart like this. Okay? And what you can do is pull this guy off, just like this, and now we can work with this piece separately. Okay, so we can see the length of this now. For example, the last adjustment I needed was to go to about here. It was about an inch or so, maybe a little bit more than that. So what I can do is the same thing, is you slide this piece out of the way, and then you just loosen this knot. You're just going to pull the one side through by the amount you want to take up. Just roll that over and pull the other side, let it pay out. Okay? And if you think that's the right distance, you can check it by sliding this back down and seeing that the loop is now about half the size and this has gotten longer. And if that's the right adjustment, you can go ahead and put this guy back on. And if you forgot how to do that, it's very easy. Take the line, slide it through the pigtail, and then slide the pigtail back through the loop of the line. Just a simple loop-to-loop connection. Just like that. Ready to go. Repeat that for the other side, of course, to keep everything even, and you're ready to rock. Okay, so we're back here at the bar for one final check to see how our adjustment worked out. And I'm going to pull and put even pressure on the bar, noticing if there's any unevenness left to right, because we don't want the kite pulling itself into a turn. So that seems to be pretty even. And then the other thing I want to do is, with the same amount of force I'm pulling back on the bar, I want to pull on the chicken loop and see if it comes out at all. And I don't see that now. We've taken up that extra slack, and that can be confirmed by drooping the lines a little bit and seeing that the droop is actually about the same in all 4 lines. That's what we want. All 4 lines to be exactly even at full power. Having this adjustment will allow you to run the back steering lines onto the middle knot, so the back bridle of the kite, and that will give you the optimum performance. Best upwind, best wind range, smoothest feel, best unhooking performance, all of that stuff. So the other important benefit of keeping your bar tuned up is the fact that if the bar is properly tuned, full power is actually all the way down to the bottom of the chicken loop, or to the top of the QR here. What that gives you is full power here and plenty of deep power within a reasonable reach. This is especially important to people with a shorter reach. If your bar is oversheeting and full power is really here because your center lines have stretched out, then deep power is not here, it's actually further here. And that's sometimes a lot further than some people can reach. So as long as you keep your bar tuned up so that full power is here and all 4 lines are even in this position, as we've shown you earlier, then you should be able to depower the kite within a reasonable amount of throw.
If you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us through our website. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the water.